Hello my loves, it is a Vicious Vixen and we're back with another video for a very vicious Halloween. This cute but psycho clown was really fun to come up with and I hope you enjoy watching her come to life. I covered my brows off camera and I'm using a temporary hair color spray to cover up my dyed hair. I wanted my face to be the focus of color, so the green has got to go for now. I'm using a white eye pencil to draw the shape I'm going for, which is a heart. If I messed up, I just used a cotton swab with makeup remover to fix it, so don't worry about getting it perfect on the first go. Once I got everything as symmetrical as possible, I mixed up a shade of green cream paint and spread that over my face. I used a brush to get the coverage I wanted, then used a beauty sponge to smooth everything out. I made sure I didn't go over the white line too much, just to make blending my foundation out easier. I mixed a lighter shade of green and used that as a highlight, putting that on my cheeks, forehead, and nose and blending it out with the sponge. I blended out any areas that creased, so my eyelids and near my nose, and then I set everything with a translucent powder. I let that set for a minute or two and then blended it away with a large brush. I'm going in with a green matte shadow to add shape to my face, focusing on my crease area and the sides of my nose. I'm making the crease kind of rounded and it almost gives the eyes a distantly sad look, which worked for what I was going for. I then started to create the shading for the black designs I will add later on, bringing that to my cheeks as well. I added a bit of the green around my lips as well, so it's like a haze of color. I added a tiny bit of black shadow into the hollow areas of my eyes, just to add a little bit more depth there. And then I started to plan out the design of the markings with a white jumbo pencil. Bless. I blended it out a bit, mostly to get rid of the texture of the pencil in case it messed with the application of the liner, and then I drew in the markings. I'm going to sketch in the edges, and once I'm happy with the general shapes, I'm going to fill them in with the liner. I wanted the edges to be smooth, so I went over the harsh angles and turned them into curves and swirls. If you want to do this and want to be super symmetrical, try going back and forth between each side rather than finishing one side and trying to copy it. I added the designs to the cheeks. I added a darker green shadow that had a little shimmer, and this was just going to pick up on the glitter I would use later on. I did go back to the markings a few times just to fiddle with the shapes till I was happy with how they looked. And then I added little dots around the edges of everything just to add a little more texture to the look overall. And then I moved on to the face. I did a quick version of my foundation routine, which you can see in my brunch video, and I made sure not to blend away the white line that was basically a barrier so that I don't mess up the shape of my face. Now for glitter. I'm using a flat short brush to apply some glitter primer on my mobile lid area, and then I'm tapping on the glitter on top of that. I added a dark green glitter in the outer corner for depth, and later I'm going to add that glitter to my cheeks as well, almost like some shiny freckles. I did a pretty thin liner on my lids just to hide the lash band since my eyes were already framed by the markings, and I didn't want to crowd the area by adding too much detail. I added a coat of mascara to my lashes and then put on some falsies, and then added the outline of my face with the liner. I was just going to do a basic black liner, but I got the idea to add swirls to it and went with that instead. I also added a line on either side of my lips, and this kind of added balance to the bottom third of my face since my brows and cheeks were so prominent. I'm adding my highlighter, focusing it in the center of my face, but in a heart kind of way, in kind of a heart, sorry, to emphasize the shape. I added the tiniest bit to my cheeks, but not enough to deter from the shape of the heart. For my lips, I wiped away the makeup and lip balm from them and used a black liquid lipstick and a black gloss over top of that. I went back and forth with adding the green highlighter on the lips, but in the end, I just blotted it away. I added some accessories, starting with some flat back pearls. I used lash glue to attach these to my face, and for my hair, I used hairspray and hair gel because lash glue is latex and I didn't know if it would get stuck to my hair, and I was not risking that. I added my hair puffs, which I picked up from the beauty store a while ago. And I cannot stress this enough. If you're going to try this, be careful. But I used some pearl-headed floral pins to stick into the puffs. Because the puffs are super dense, none of the pins touch my head or even my actual puffs, so I was not maimed in the making of this video. I did a few more finishing touches, added shadow to my lower lashes, and here is the final look. I had a lot of fun creating this cute clown that may or may not be a dangerous sociopath with a long history of violence, and I hope you enjoyed watching her come to life. Feel free to like, comment, and subscribe to my channel, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.